We got some NFL talk coming in this episode, nothing but that sports talk. One of them special guests in this episode comes from WFUV to the Armory. And of course, you got a certain watch party business taking full effect. Talking all things watch parties and the growth of women in sports. This is nothing but that sports talk. Let's go.
Slides over to buy time, flings it down the field, it's caught for the touchdown. I say likely, and the Ravens are a 2-point try away from tying the game. Roll, flip it, got it. Oh, the ball was dropped. He had the 2-point conversion in his hands.
If it's wide open, you keep running.
118 yards, adding to it. There goes Barkley into the clear, through the snow, all the way home. He's hit another home run against the Rams. And this one might send him to the championship game. Higbee in motion. Stafford's got to have it. His throw is incomplete, not close. Philadelphia to the championship game.
What a division rounds we've seen as I welcome to this episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. Our official is on alongside another WFUV alumni, Taylor Mascetta. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's always awesome to have WFUV members come on Nothing But That Sports Talk as somebody who actually was a part of WFUV Sports and News during this time. I mean, it's always nice giving back to the current generation of WFUV Sports members and students.
Yeah, exactly. It's really always, whenever I go back there to go visit and everything, it's really cool just seeing how much the station has grown even in like the past 2 years that I've been like graduated. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a life-changing opportunity for me, and I'm excited for, the future of the station.
Yeah, I'm excited for the future of the station as well. I mean, come on now. We're talking about somewhere where Mike Breen, Ryan Ruocco, and Vince Scully, may God rest his soul, and Spirit Ditas got their broadcasting starts.
Yeah. It was cool. I think I interviewed Ryan Ruocco like my senior year, I want to say. And it's just really cool. You get to like talk to like a bunch of these legends, whether it's like literally like podcast interview or just straight up like email them like, hey, I need some advice for like where I want to go into with my career. So it's really cool just having like that alumni network. Like I've met so many really great people. And I'm hoping I can one day be that source for some people coming up now in the station as well. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Exactly. Yeah, I met Ryan Ruocco at a WFUV Sports Workshop like during my one-year grad program there, and then I ran into him at the 2023 WNBA Finals when Liberty lost to Aces, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. And obviously he was on the Zoom. We did like a little media Zoom calls with the talents that were covering the WNBA Finals slowly. Where I talked to China Robinson, he was on it. And yeah, it's good that the guy remembers you from that day. I mean, even with years apart, he remembers that face from being a student there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he was a really cool guy. I haven't met him in person yet because it was over Zoom, and I'm hoping if I can get to a WNBA game that he's at, I think it doesn't hurt to, shoot out and be like, hey, can I stop by the booth, say hello? But yeah, I mean, it was cool. It was really cool getting the chat.
It's not that hard when you get to see when you get to courtside seats to a WNBA game that's broadcast at ESPN, especially with the growth of the WNBA. But
it's crazy.
Before we get into that, let's just start off with how you got your start working in sports.
Yeah, so I've been an athlete my entire life. I always joke that when I was like a kid, I realized pretty quickly that the best sport that I had going for me was running, because I was always like horrible at dodgeball, horrible at basketball, but I could beat everybody in the 1 mile run that was hosted every single year for my gym classes. So then I just kind of got into it full time in high school. Absolutely fell in love with track and field and everything that had to do with it. Had a really great like junior and senior year. Like running seasons went well with like state and New England championships. And I pretty quickly realized like I wanted to try and go into it collegiately. So I was lucky enough to receive an offer from Fordham University. And I wanted to go into journalism. Like I didn't know exactly where yet, whether I wanted to do news or not. So I was like, you know what, Fordham's going to be the perfect spot. I've got to run and then kind of see what goes on after that. So I spent 4 years there on their track and field team, and about my time is a little weird, like the first 2 years because of COVID. My sophomore year was completely wiped out. Like I was still on campus, but it was just all Zoom classes, and the only thing I was doing was really practicing. So that kind of gave me a little more time to like kind of figure out what exactly I wanted to do. And one of the classes I took was like an interviewing and profiling class. And they recommended, hey, like there's this newsroom capstone class that's happening your junior year that works with WFUV. You should go and take that. And I was like, I needed it for the core requirement, and it sounded pretty cool. So I was like, yeah, why not? So I hopped in. I started at FUV in news, which was great because it taught me how to use like all the platforming, like working on like podcast scripts and storytelling and like finding like localized like areas. And like I liked doing news a lot. But I think I was starting to get interested in like how could I like incorporate like me as a student athlete into my work. And it was funny enough, my news director like came up to me one day and she's like, oh, I gave your information to Bobby with WFUV Sports. I think you'd be a great fit there. And I was like, oh, I was a little nervous at first because I was like, I don't know how much I could really talk about sports just yet. Like, I feel like I'm a track whiz, but it was just so different than what I was used to doing. And she's like, go give it a try for a semester. So I started out there, met with my mock group where we like kind of went through like training all together. And they're still like some of my best friends to this day. And I just absolutely fell in love with all of it. Like just talking about like NFL, college, like I'm a big college football girl. So it's so nice to finally be able to get on a show and like talk about it like for ages. And like track too, like I was able to like get track, like involved with some of the stories I was telling, even with like news and sports, like, and just using like my student athlete background. And that helped me kind of go up to our sports manager and be like, hey, like, I think we should start a women's sports podcast here. And they love the idea. All in, it's still happening 2.5 years later. So that's really cool to like see that legacy being left behind. But yeah, I mean, I think that was like my FUV journey. Like I learned so much about myself and like being able to like, you know, like, okay, I can go on and put on a pretty good show. I can have some pretty cool takes about like what I thought about like all the different sports I was like consuming. And it's just fun to kind of like go on like a show, even with like some of my closest friends and colleagues, and just kind of like talk about it for forever. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I found sports. It's nice that like I kind of got to incorporate like a side of me that I find so important, which is me being an athlete, and like kind of mesh it with like my career of choice.
Exactly. I mean, it's an NPR affiliated radio station. What you expect? I mean,
yeah, I know.
It's not like the other colleges you go to where you have college radio stations that do podcasting and what you're doing right now in that lane, but they don't send you out to events. To get content and interviews. But and they train you to go play a podcaster. It's up to the faculty to decide whether or not you're good enough for it. It's WFUV. It's an NPR affiliate radio station. I mean, you and your man obviously know that.
Yeah, it was great because I felt like we got so many opportunities that like we felt like so blessed to even receive. Like the studio, obviously, we have so many like all the different rooms and all the equipment. Like we're so lucky that we have all of that, and with the NPR backing, like it really is great. And I'm so glad I like went into like radio before starting like a bit of my broadcast career, because I felt like it taught me so much about like, you know, like how to like sound cool when you're like reading out the script, making it sound unique, how to like kind of mesh the words with like what audio you're using, which can also translate to what video you're using. So it was just like a really, really cool experience. And like, I'm just so lucky that like I found my way to Fordham to have experienced that.
Exactly. And for those who that been interviewing nothing but that sports stuff, that went to Fordham University, that do with me during my one and done year, that watch this, you already know my story. And for those of you that don't, well, yeah, I didn't really get to meet Robin until after I'm done with the news sessions, like sitting through all the training sessions that George Badarki, who was news director before Robin. Mm-hmm. I worked with Robin before she was news director, so I got a sense of the type of person she is, where she gets to look where you do like 1 or 2 sentences of the events you cover after you get sent down there. Just the opportunity to do news reporting for audio publication, that's something that you kids can't deny. Yeah,
exactly. I love her. I miss Robin. I haven't seen her in a minute. She's great. I still like, I'll laugh with her to this day. I was like, yeah, like, I mean, she kind of ironically is my news director, but she's the one that like really helped me like connect with my sports side by just helping me like take that leap of faith. So, I mean, I'm internally grateful.
You have to be grateful. I mean, you're getting to work in the Bronx for an NPR affiliate radio station. That's something that you can't just get past. That the people on the resume can't just get past. Even if you don't go get what you want. I mean, the fact of the matter is, it led to something. All that led to you working at the Armory NYC, and I have a friend named Shantae Harlett. Shout out to her. She covered events at that track field spot down in that I believe is Fort Washington Avenue, something like that.
Oh yeah.
She covered events over there before, so I kind of heard about Armory NYC, and I saw you do some hosting down there. So I was like, you know what? Let me bring you on to educate myself about the Armory before I can go down there and cover some events. Because, yeah, track and field, it may not excite me as much as basketball, but just the whole engagement that it gets to women like you being involved with it is something that you just can't ignore.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I feel like the Armory is such a special place. Like high school, I was there every single weekend. Like my coach was adamant that we'd race at the Armory as much as possible because it was fastest track in the world. I'm biased. I think it is. Although the Boston University track, I've run there too. That's pretty fast as well. But I would go there and it was just always so cool hearing your name said on the loudspeaker. Like some of my teammates would literally they would sprint the first lap. That way they'd get set on the loudspeaker. So like that was always really cool. You could see yourself like on like there's like a cube in the middle of the track where it shows the broadcast that's being shown. So you could be literally running, you look up on the screen and you could see yourself. It's really, really unique. Like you don't see a lot of tracks really doing what the Armory is doing with like their different broadcasts. And I think their partnership with Runner Space has been so beneficial with everything with that. Cause then that way, like you can get the videos after, like selfishly for me, I can go and I could download some of my calls. And like how like maybe rewatch like, okay, that's where like I can improve on that call or like, oh, that was actually really cool. Maybe I can save that for my reel. But yeah, I think they're doing a lot of really cool things out there. Like the production group, like they're awesome. Social media is awesome. Like we've got a pretty well-oiled machine going there. So it's still like unbelievable to me that I'm like working at the Army. Cause like once I spent like 4 straight years in high school, like racing there every day. Never in a million years did I think I'd be the person behind that mic calling the names out. Like I was always like hoping to be called out as a high schooler. So I mean, it's really, really cool.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, maybe my girlfriend Shantae, she covers events down at that spot. And then I also know some people that went to events at that spot too, like Ichan, who works at ESPN, and just a couple other people who I've interviewed or connected with in the past or close with to this day. They told me they would cover the events on there. I was like, Armory? I was like, okay, nice. And then of course there's Ichan, where the Athlos NYC event took place, where a certain Olympian named Gabby Thomas, celebrity crush, really came within second place. But you know what? It was just so fun watching that. But I gotta ask you, between the Armory and Ichan, which track and field spot do you enjoy the most in New York City?
Oh, I gotta say Armory. I've raced at the Armory so much more. I think like just spending more time there and everything, and just there's just something so. I always say that the Armory has like this aura to it. Like the minute you walk in, like you've got all the records, you've got all the cool broadcast perks. Like there's so much history there. I mean, there's so much history at Ichan as well, but I feel like it's like Armory. It's more. I think it helps that it's indoors because it's kind of condensed to that one spot. So it's like everything you're looking around, it's like it's that track. But I will say I worked Athlos this year at Ichan and they put on a show. It was so sick. They got
Gabby Thomas and a couple of Olympians for the USA Olympics last year. What you expect? What you think?
Yeah, no, that was a crazy upset too. Oh my god, if it was Brittany Brown that beat her,
Brittany Brown.
Yeah, that was nuts. But like Gabby was such a big part in getting Athlos off the ground.
My friend Shantae and a young lady named Tiffany Parker from my LIU days went there too, and they partnered with Nike. They did a good job with that event.
Oh, it was amazing. So that's where I feel like Ichan too is like absolutely incredible. If I had to. Coming from like the athlete brain in me, like if I had to pick one spot to like run a race, I'd probably pick Armory. But I'm in like the minority that prefers indoor track over outdoor track. Like everyone loves outdoor. I don't know what it is about indoor. I just love it so much.
Because the fact you get to run in the wind. I mean,
I get to watch outside.
When you try to if you have I know you got your broadcasting gigs going on, but when you try to participate in Olympics, you have to run outdoors all the time. Seriously.
Yeah, it gets cold. Like the year I was up in Syracuse, it was beautiful up there, but there were a couple 10-degree days. I'd be out running with my glove, like double pair of gloves, and I'd be like, Oh man, I'm definitely finishing this run up on the indoor track. But yeah, that's where I like racing indoors in the winter, so I don't have to worry. And like the first couple outdoor meets of the year where it's like March and it's like technically spring, but it still feels like winter and it's like 30 degrees out. I'm just sitting there in my parka, just like rocking back and forth, like, oh man, I wish indoor was like a week or two longer. So yeah, I mean, it really is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, but like I said, if there's an athlete or two that I like for track and field, I would definitely invest into watching her. I mean, getting an opportunity to cover track and field is a lot harder than I thought. As somebody that didn't get to cover it last year, but you know what? This is something that you can't take for granted.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you run track and field or cross country down in Syracuse. What was that whole experience like? And how can you differentiate cross county from track and field?
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier I had the pandemic, so it wiped out my entire sophomore year. And even though we were a lucky case because Fordham was able to go back onto campus and still like keep practicing and everything. So I still had a year with like my teammates, a year to train, but I still had 3 seasons. Like it was like my outdoor season my freshman year, and then my sophomore cross country and indoor track were wiped out. So I had a full year. So my senior year rolls around and I was like, okay, I've got this extra year. I could stay at Fordham, but I could also like see like, okay, there might be some different opportunities elsewhere. It might not hurt to like enter the transfer portal and kind of see like whatever opportunities are out there for me. And luckily like my coaches were completely supportive and understanding about all that because they know at the end of the day, it's all, you got to go for the academics. So I put my name in the portal. And I had spoken to the Syracuse coaches my senior year of high school. I had ultimately decided like I didn't want to move up that far for 4 years. But I was like, this is a shot in the dark. Maybe they'll remember me. And they did. And I lucked out. They had an extra spot or two on the roster. And they were like, yeah, like if you decide to come here, it's yours. I got into Newhouse. And so I was like, able to go up for a year, got my master's in broadcast and digital journalism. And I think I got my master's from Syracuse. I got my undergrad degree from Fordham.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But so it really like, it was nice because it was only 1 year because I only have 1 year of eligibility left. I didn't have to worry about like, like trying to stretch it over 2 or 3. And I was still able to like get my full Fordham experience. And that was like really a great thing to do. But I gotta say, WFUV set me up super well for broadcast because I went in like kind of knowing like, okay, this is how I put together a news story. All I have to do is just learn how to use the camera and I should be good to go. But it was really cool kind of just letting to figure out who I was on camera. Like, cause like I'm always used to like being in the booth and like just recording audio. So I had to make that video adjustment as well. So now it's like nice to like kind of help me with like a triple threat of like journalism opportunities. Now like I can do print, I can do audio, now I can do video. And Syracuse really provided me with that. And it was just cool being on like an ACC team. I wasn't like near the top of the team whatsoever, which I was like okay with. It was just cool being like there. Like I was able to go and watch regionals. The girls team won when I was there. They won the Northeast Regional, which was so cool to witness. I think it was their first title in like 9 years, I want to say. So it was just cool getting to see my teammates like, go out there and kick butt. And also simultaneously kind of learning from them like, oh, this is our experience of us like qualifying for NCAAs and like making waves on the national stage. And it was cool because then it gives me a different perspective. Like I might not be qualifying for those meets, but like I have friends who have, and they can like, I can have like a bit of an understanding with that. But yeah, it was a really great year. And I'm glad that I was able to still like get like, it was like that was like the good thing the pandemic gave me. Cause then I was able to do like my full Fordham experience and then like added bonus of Syracuse. But yeah, it's funny. I've just been all over New York. I've been in the city, I've been upstate. But the only place I haven't really spent too much is out in Buffalo, and that's like way out west. So
yeah, Buffalo, it's hard, it's cold, it's seriously cold.
Oh yeah. I thought Syracuse was pretty cool. I can only imagine how bad Buffalo is. I raced there once. It was like my freshman year. We had NCAA regionals and it was so snowy. They had to move the meet from like the regular park to like around like the UBuff campus. Like we just did like 3 concrete loops. And it was great for me because it was flat. So I ran really well. But like my other teammates who are more like distance oriented runners, they're like, that sucked. So yeah, like that was my one impression of Buffalo. I haven't spent too much extended time up there. I have a couple friends that live out that direction though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, I was always told. I mean, I actually I almost went to Syracuse, but I ultimately went to Fordham after graduating from LIU Brooklyn, but that's a whole different story for a different day. But what I can tell you is you managed to gain a lot of interesting opportunities to run track. And cross county, I mean, you probably just went over this, but yeah, being able to run through mountains compared to running around track and leaping over sticks.
Yeah.
Using the pole to jump over the highest sticks.
It's crazy.
You can talk about how stressful it is because you ran that field.
Yeah, for sure. It's like people don't realize how different like the scope of track and field goes. Like with distance running is completely different from like the field events where you've got triple jumpers and that's completely still different from like long jump. It's actually insane. Like the Armory is like, I've learned to announce all the different events. Like I can call like a 5K race on the track and then it's like 20 minutes of like pretty much like straight talking. And then I'll pivot immediately over to the pole vault where someone's attempting like a high school state record. And it's like so many different ways to like kind of talk about the sport and like give love to events that aren't shown nearly as much. Like I think the field events definitely deserve more love, like because like they're on the infield of the track, just the location, not as many people are going to watch them as like, you know, what's going on the oval. And like you see the people like directly race against each other. So it's like a little more exciting with the running aspect, but like, hey, I mean, some of the pole vault like competitions I've covered this year with Armory, it gets heated. It's like crazy, like especially with how like if like two of the same athletes clear the same clearance and then they go into a jump off to try and win, like it's insane. But it's like so cool because I think track has so many different things for everyone, and it's definitely expanding a lot more. Like I think like it's gotten so much bigger over the past like 5 years, even like. So it's just I think there's a little bit something for everyone.
Yes, there's always something for everybody. I mean, there's always an opportunity to run track. And I believe that when I saw footage, there was an HBCU track and field event that happened this past weekend. Only you can talk about it because you was there. I mean, what was that type of experience watching that whole event take place? Watch these features HBCU athletes.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was awesome. I had never worked it because I was never able to with like my school schedule in undergrad. So this was my first year getting in the booth, and it was awesome. I love the collegiate meets. I thought it was so great that they were able to like highlight all of like the historically Black universities and just show off the athletes because they don't like sometimes like once again like I feel like in the NCAA a lot of the Power 5 conferences get highlighted. You know, you got the SEC, you got the ACC. But you've got the MEAC represented. There were a couple other, at the top of my head, like Sunbelt, like a bunch of different schools from so many different conferences, but all coming together to like, you know, showcase like the beauty of like HBCU track and field. I think it's really, really cool. We saw some pretty good performances. There were a couple of nationally ranked guys in there. But yeah, it was really fun to kind of call everything and once again, like show them some love. And like, I try to use my social media platform to like, get like I'll sneak like photos like in the booth and like get them up on Instagram, and then the Armory will reshare it just to kind of like, you know, continue spreading like, oh, people, this is like a pretty cool event that's happening here. You should totally come like next year. And it's like it was just really, really cool. It was like definitely like different because we usually do high school meets in January, but now we're getting more into like the collegiate side since the high school invites are starting to die down with division like with conference and state championships coming up. But yeah, like I had a really great time. It was really, really cool. I thought the broadcast went really well. But yeah, I'm excited for next year's already.
Yeah, I know you're excited because I'm told that USA is going to have some track and field events like later down in road in February.
Mm-hmm.
Before I'm told. But yeah. Now, as you've been watching track and field this past year in 2024 from like the Olympics, which track and field athlete do you think stood out to you the most this past summer at the Paris Olympics?
Oh man, there are so many I could list out. Oh, I think the one Olympic race that I always go back to is the men's 1500. Because you've got the rivalry between Josh Kerr and Jakob and just Ingebrigtsen happening the entire year. Like they're throwing shots at each other. They're calling each other slow. You're obviously going to think one of them is going to win the gold. And it's so funny because at the end of the Olympic final, coming around the bend, Cole Hawker, American, just comes on the inside and he wins Olympic gold. And I've met Cole before. He's a great guy. I think his older brother went to Fordham too. So like it was that race. I was standing up and screaming at my TV. That was definitely like the biggest impact on me at the Olympics because like we did not think America was winning, and they walked home with the gold and the bronze because Yard and Goose got bronze, and I love Yard as well. So that definitely stood out to me on the men's side. I'm gonna do a woman too. Like I love Julian Alfred. She ran for Texas, and then she won Olympic gold in the 100 meters, which is like the magnum opus. And she comes like from this like really small little island, St. Lucia. And she like, just to go out and win like, like 100-meter Olympic gold, that has been owned by the Americans or the Jamaicans for like so long. And then Julia just like kind of comes storming in, like won it and like kind of like a landslide. Like she like, it was so inspiring, especially seeing her home country kind of come together and like absolutely freak out when she won gold. Like the videos that came out after that, priceless. So that stuck with me a lot too. I almost cried because I was like really happy for her. Like I've met her too, like very briefly in like mixed zone situations, and she's always been so sweet. But yeah, I feel like there's so many moments in track is like I feel like people only kind of tune in for the Olympics, but you've got moments at like, like the Olympic trials in America. Like I had a couple friends that went and competed there, and they told me like in person, like it's even like crazier. But I think the broadcast does so well at like kind of channeling like, oh, how cool this is. But you've also got the Diamond League meets with like the pre-classic or like Millrose Games, which is coming up in a couple weeks to kick off like, the professional indoor season. It's just so many like different moments, but so it's really hard to pinpoint like a couple. But I just like, I mean, that's where I love track and field so much because there's just so much going on. And it's like, it's like the sport I've done for so long. So it's like, I understand like, okay, like this is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, especially athletes that have interesting backstories prior to their track and field. I mean, I believe Sakari Richardson had an interesting backstory prior to winning gold and bronze and silver at the Olympics. Yeah. And of course, yeah, you got Gabby Thomas that became a Women's Sports Foundation nominee. So it's not just about how talented they are to run around tracks, it's how they give back to the communities.
Yeah,
all exactly. The people that go after and interview her. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's all about, I mean, they know how to like advocate for all the young girls that are trying to work their way towards accomplishing the goals of working in track and field in some shape or form, whether it's as an athlete or announcer like what you do with the Armory. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's like like a lot of my colleagues we've been working towards over the past year or so, like with my internship, the Magic Boost, it's basically a collection of like content creators from a bunch of different backgrounds to help like, bring track and field to more different spaces. So for me as like a female creator, it's important to kind of uplift like, like these female athletes and female women in media. And it's like, really just kind of like cool, like using my platform to kind of spread the sport and just uplift like a bunch of different stories. So I think that's just been really cool. And like, I feel like for me, it's like a little unique because track is such a niche sport. But I feel like it's where the most opportunities for like me personally live. And like, if anyone like could like, like take a look at like my Instagram or my Twitter and be like, oh, that's really cool. Like she knows track like inside and out. Like
I'm looking at it. I'm literally looking at it right now. Seriously, you know your stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm literally, you know your stuff.
Yeah. And I just want to spread the
all that comes with hard work.
Yeah. A lot of hours like typing away at my computer, just trying to get any sort of stat. Like, cause I like when I'm in the booth, like if I could find something like an interesting tidbit about the kid that's winning, or if I remember them from like a previous meet, like I'm going to try and shout it out. Because, like, you never know who's watching on the broadcast. The kid might be running around and be like, holy crap, how'd they know that? That's really cool. Like, just to make, like, anyone, like, feel special, I think is my goal at the end of the day, especially with track. Because, like, I feel like there were so many moments where I felt so special as an athlete. And now that, like, my running days are kind of behind me, like, if I could be that source of, like, like, specialness, that would be, like, definitely my goal in life.
Yeah, why not? I mean, It's all about going after what you want. And
yeah, exactly.
You got to be part of the Magic Boost. Really nice.
Yeah, it was great. That was such a crazy, cool experience. We're gearing up for year 2. I think we're setting like that's going to be some exciting stuff. But like, yeah, again, like with my program, it was like about 7 or 8 of us in our class. They're like some of my closest friends now, and I work pretty closely with all of them, and we all learn a lot from each other because like some of us are more on air, some of us are more behind the camera. But I feel like we all come together and put together some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, you get an opportunity to cover a sport that's trying to continue to build with the athletes that are involved in it. I mean, that's pretty much all I can say. All right, now we get some NFL talk. I
was looking forward to this.
The Baltimore Ravens were literally a 2-point conversion from forcing overtime against the Buffalo Bills in that heavy snow.
Oh my God!
And Buffalo got lucky.
They really did.
And they're going on to face the Kansas City Chiefs in another playoff game. It's funny how Buffalo takes them out during the regular season, but Kansas City to be the one that matters the most when you're facing them in the division round or conference championship game. Let me ask you something. Do you think this will be the year that Buffalo could add a postseason win against the Kansas City Chiefs to a regular season win?
Oh, I really hope so. I feel bad for Lamar. I really do. I've been wanting to see the Ravens make it farther, but they haven't even I think the Bills definitely have a shot. They've beat the Chiefs before this season. Josh Allen has been playing out of his mind. We've seen some cracks in the armor with the Chiefs, they've gotten lucky way too many times with the end of some games. I think the Bills could go I think they have a serious shot this year. I'll be rooting for them probably. But yeah, I mean, it's no easy feat to win a game out in Arrowhead. But we'll have to see what happens. But I think this could be the year. I mean, they've played the Chiefs 3 times now.
2 times. It's the second time they played this year. But I believe this is going to be the 4th time in the past 5 years they faced off in the postseason.
It's crazy. You got to hope that they're going to learn something. But it's been close before, and I think they gotta they've got a pretty well-oiled machine out in Buffalo. So I think they can definitely make some moves. But I don't know, the Chiefs, they always find a way to win, for better or worse. But I mean, it's Mahomes. You never can predict what he's going to be up to next.
Exactly. Patrick Mahomes, he's this generation's Tom Brady. This is called the way it is.
Yeah. Yep. Ugh, it pains me, but it's the truth.
Yep, it is the truth. And getting to the NFC side, while you have the Eagles barely surviving the Los Angeles Rams, the Detroit Lions, who were in the NFC title game last year and blew a lead against the 49ers, they couldn't really get to the NFC title game this year because they ran into a buzzsaw Washington Commanders team. Man, these Washington Commanders, they really erupted. Jay is a problem in the NFC East. Let's just call it the way it is. Do you think that this will be the game that he proves me right?
I think the Commanders are. I really think they are such a danger in this playoff. I could not believe my eyes that they took the Lions down in Detroit. At the beginning of this year, no one thought the Commanders were going anywhere. But I was there. I was in DC for training camp. I was there. I saw it on the field. I saw Jaden. And I just knew. I was something special is going to be coming out of this season. I know everyone's saying their offensive line is trash. The defense is trash, blah, blah, blah. But I was there was something special with that group of guys out on the field. And having spoken to a couple of them, personally, the vibes were just high. I was I think we're going to at least see a 10-win season. And I was right. They got 12 in the regular. And now they're making a playoff push. And I think they're dangerous right now. They've got nothing to lose. I think they beat the Eagles a couple weeks ago. So that gives me some hope.
That crazy game-winning touchdown? Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I think I will say it's going to probably be a little more evenly matched now because Jalen Hurts went out with a concussion in the matchup with the Commanders last time. So I think it's definitely going to be, but Jaden has just improved week to week. And I think what's scary about him is that he is just so calm. No matter what, you just see him on the sideline. He's just sitting there smiling. They could be down a touchdown with 2 minutes to go, and Jaden's just smiling. And the next he does the craziest thing you've ever seen. So I think a very calm Jaden is a very dangerous Jaden, and we haven't seen him frazzled at all this season, even in the losses. They had that close one, the Cowboys, they lost to the Ravens, but this team knows how to win, especially in those do or die situations. If the ball is in Jaden Daniels' hands with 2 minutes to go, Washington is most likely win that game. So I think they can definitely make a Super Bowl push. They make that Super Bowl, I might go crazy. And who knows? What happens after that? I know Bills or Chiefs are definitely a juggernaut. But like once again, like Commanders, they're probably the most dangerous team in the playoff picture. Still standing.
Yeah, they're a team we can't sleep on. And yeah, to wrap it up, like, what do you think is your prediction for the Super Bowl? Which matchup do you want to see, and which matchup you think is going to happen?
Oh, matchup I want to see. I mean, I want to see the Commanders in the Super Bowl. Okay, so I want to see Bills Commanders, but I feel like my gut's telling me that that's probably gonna happen. I think the Bills and the Chiefs, though, it's definitely a toss-up. I just think Washington looks a little too dangerous right now. I think they're gonna, if they can shut down Saquon Barkley with the Eagles, Washington's winning. If they don't shut down Saquon, Eagles are probably winning. It really depends on how the defense plays. But I mean, my money's on the Commanders. They're on, like, they've got momentum at the moment, and I think they are, they're playing for history for the DMV. They're gonna make it through, and I think Bills and Chiefs, I just really don't know. My gut, if they're playing at Arrowhead, I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs win. So it'll probably be a Chiefs-Commanders Super Bowl, but I think the Bills do have a serious chance. So I think my firm is Bills-Commanders for Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why not? I mean, I would prefer.
Who would have thought at the beginning of this year?
I mean, why not? I would love. I mean, just for the sake of taking out the Eagles, and yeah, me being a Giants fan, I would, as long as it's not the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
With
So
yeah,
I mean, we'll have to see. I'm excited. This has been I feel like this has been like one of the more like exciting playoff pushes I've seen like in a really long time. So it's been cool.
yeah. And then one final topic before I let you go. I don't know if you're aware, but WNBA, they played in the month of January, and it's not really the WNBA. They went unrivaled.
Unrivaled. Yeah.
When you saw when you saw, or at least were aware of that was going on this week, that 3-on-3 basketball, 3-on-3 basketball league where you have 7-minute quarters and 4 quarters, which is literally equivalent to the quarters you see in the WNBA. What has got you thinking about as far as the growth of women's basketball in the WNBA and college basketball?
I think it's great. I really do. I didn't get to watch too much of the games this week because I was so swamped with announcing. But I saw a couple things on Twitter. I think they're having so much fun out there, and I think it's a really great opportunity for like players to stay in the U.S. and train over the off season, and just by playing some more games, they don't have to worry about necessarily going international for more pay. And I think that it's they're making a good amount of money from Unrivaled, and I think that's going to help support them and support the teams and uplift it. And you see how much love there is for college and WNBA basketball over the past year, and I feel like that's just going to keep growing. And I think people are really, really enjoying Unrivaled. It just seems like it's a lot of fun. I can't wait to see more of it. It's just and it's cool too because it's you get to see a lot of dream.
Yeah, you got to see more. I mean, come on, it's a basketball league started by Brian Stewart. If anything, the WNBA Finals was literally a low key build up to Unrivaled, because the two of the founders were paying off in the WNBA Finals last year.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's I think it's going to be really cool. I a small part. I'm hoping they can get Caitlin Clark involved at some point. I know she's not playing this year, but it'd be cool even if she came and watched. I think that would be pretty cool to see her. But the girls, man, they are duking it out there. I just got to say, cool, different aside. I am so excited for this new class of the new WNBA draftees. We got Paige Beckers in the league soon. I cannot wait to watch her ball out. It's going to be so exciting.
I watched her ball out at the Women's Champions Classic last December.
Oh.
And UConn literally ran Louisville out the building. And, of course, Tennessee defeated Iowa.
Yeah, it's crazy. I love my UConn girlies. If they can win, if they got to win another NCAA title soon. But right now, I feel like South Carolina is taking over.
Come on. We don't even need to talk about how good UConn women's basketball is. You just got to look at the archives, even though they did lose to USC in a close game. But outside of that, they ran teams out the building. They went to St. John's and ran them out the building. They played Seton Hall the other day. They ran them out the building. The game was literally over for the first half. But when you're playing against teams out of conference, that's when they really get tested as far as how good they're going to be.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They beat Caitlin Clark in the Final Four last year, so we can't just ignore that.
Yeah. I was able to work their game against Syracuse in the round of 32 last year. That was one of the greatest games I've ever watched because Syracuse almost beat them. They were so close. You got Deja Fair like balling out. Like it was crazy. Like I think they were down 2 with like 4 minutes to go. Like it got close. And then KK Arnold just crushed all of our hopes and dreams with like a dagger 3 with a minute to go. But that was like, I was so happy I got to watch that matchup because it was like my hometown team and then my grad school team got to play against each other. And it was really cool. And once again, so cool to watch Paige Becker bow out in person. Like I love her. So yeah, I mean, it's just exciting time for women's basketball, honestly. Like I can't wait to get watching it more.
Especially in Florida because the women's team is doing good.
They're killing it.
They won the top teams in the NC10. They haven't been there since 2019 when they got ran out the building by Syracuse. Damn it, Ichan.
Yeah, I'm so excited for the women's team because like I knew last year was like a lot of changes with all the different coaching swaps and everything, and I think they're really figuring it out. I think it was like a tough non-conference slate this year, but like I mean, hey, at the end of the day, conference is what gets you, closer to that NCAA berth. And like I mean, they beat Richmond, they beat Dayton. I think that's top 2 teams in the conference at the moment, and like I mean, they're running on a pretty good high right now. So I'm excited to see what comes next for all of them.
Yeah, I'm excited. Well, thank you for stopping by, Taylor Mascetta. I really appreciate you giving your wisdom of track and field and working for the Armory. And I might get to do some Armory games at some points.
Yeah, you gotta let me know. I'll come and find you.
Yeah, we go arrange that. Thank you for stopping by, Taylor.
Yeah, of course.
Welcome, everybody. I'm here with another interview with Kimberly C. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, she's the founder of Games On Watch Party. And for those of you that watch women's sports and know a thing or two about going to watch parties in sports, you might want to watch this because how watch parties or brands that focus solely on watch parties gets built in America.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is about time. And I think there's a large audience, especially here in the city in New York. We have so many professional female teams here, and there's so many people that want to watch it. And there are other smaller watch parties. So we're just happy to kind of jump in with the few that I've started to kind of just be different options for people to come and watch sports together with other people rather than kind of just like doing it at their house by themselves. So now it's a place to kind of everybody to just like build a community to come and watch sports together.
Yeah, exactly. And why not? I mean, with the way women's sports is growing now these days, I mean, the watch parties gives people more access to watch some of the best events going on in women's sports, from basketball to hockey to tennis to even soccer.
Yep. I go to a bunch of Gotham games. They're super fun and pretty convenient to get to from the city. Both if you want to drive there or take the train, it's so easy to get to a Gotham game, and they are so much fun. You have to wear a little bit more layers because you're outside in some of the inclement weather, unlike basketball where you're kind of toasty, which is one of the reasons I love it. Because being a fan, you're quite warm outside. I played lacrosse for a really long time, so I had to play in cold weather, so I like watching an indoor sport.
Yeah, that's pretty much how we have to do it. But yeah, let's start off with why Games On Watch Party brand had to get built.
Oh, great. So I am obviously an avid Liberty fan or women's basketball fan, and I do love watching other women's sports. And so my wife, I have a event planning business with my friend Khadijah, and she was like, why don't you guys during the winter come up with another way to use your skills? Because we were kind of lamenting that there is no place that you could just know, if I go to like this bar, or if I follow this person, then I know that I'm going to be able to watch women's sports. Because sometimes it is annoying to go to places and they just don't think that people are there to watch it. Meanwhile, there's 15 screens. You could give up 1 or 2 to play women's sports because there are people that want to watch it. And sometimes people don't have ESPN. A lot of people don't have some of these services that are streaming all of these games. So it's just another layer of access that Game On provides, as well as like some of these other parties that are out there. Just again, another level of access to watch women's sports with a community, which I feel like if you watch women's sports, it's a community of pretty like-minded people. So that's what's pretty cool too. And building a community in like real life, not in an algorithm.
Exactly. That's what you have to do. And the fact that you're doing something to like give people another option to watch basketball in other sports, it's typically get more vested to women. I mean, I noticed that.
Yeah.
I noticed that there's been a lot going on, especially during the WNBA playoff run, where the Liberty we're having watch parties, in collaboration with Bumble and together. They had one all the way down in a restaurant, not that far away from the Barclays Center. So if you couldn't afford to take it to go, or if you're not covering it as media, that was an option to watch it. Game one of the semifinals with the Liberty and the Aces that Bubble together put organized. And shout out to Ariane, Aaliyah Funchal, Dee Richards, and Stephanie Dawson for getting involved with that. And then of course you have one like literally a little further downtown for game 2 of the finals of the Minnesota Lynx and the Liberty. So with the New York Liberty relevant in New York, why not have watch parties? Because this Liberty team is going to be established for a long time, and you, a Liberty fan, you should know.
Absolutely.
Like you just had your first few watch parties for the Unrivaled Basketball League. What is the feeling towards watching these fans come out and get to watch Unrivaled basketball when
I feel
those that don't have access to TNT and True TV?
Yeah, I think it was really cool on Friday night to just see kind of these waves of people coming in to watch the games, and just seeing how excited people were, because I think Unrivaled is featuring some of the best parts of basketball. And again, I'm not like a basketball aficionado. I just love it. Like, I credit to my wife who's taught me a lot about basketball and the rules. I just like enjoy watching sports, but being able to watch it with a group on a big screen, it feels like it's getting the respect that like all of us as fans have always known it should have and give it. It's kind of fun to see people having an opportunity to see that. And then other people that were at the bar that weren't there for the watch party kind of wondering, well, why are all these people here? Oh, what are they watching? Oh, they're watching this new league, and it got people to watch it. And last night, you had the college, finals, Notre Dame and Ohio State, and people were watching the Unrivaled game as well as watching that, but mostly watching the Unrivaled game. So it's really cool to watch people get excited about a new league that's super fast, and people that like basketball who maybe watch the NBA. It's almost a way to kind of draw them in to what the W is like if they're not familiar with the league itself. So again, it's just really fun to just be with a group of people hanging out for a couple hours watching basketball and just like having a great time. So yeah, it's just like, again, just adding to that level of community that when you go to the Barclays Center, that is exactly what you get. So we kind of want to give a little bit of that Barclays Center feel to the different events that we do.
Exactly. But another question, why start off watch parties at Carmen Morales located at Bushwick Avenue?
Common Molly's is a really awesome bar. Yeah, it's an awesome bar. The owner, Cassie and Greg, are really, really awesome couple. And my friend actually works there. So it was kind of like a leg in, because when she was working, it was during one of the Liberty finals games, and like people were kind of really into it. She had never really seen people get that excited about it. And so it just kind of the opportunity presented itself. It's the winter. There's kind of more space for us to be able to just kind of have these pop-up events for people to just show up because they're free. You don't have to like buy a ticket or anything like that. So again, it was just really great having a bar that wants to show women's sports, and they're going to continue to do that, and playing both like men and women's sports. And I think it's just the beginning of a really cool opportunity both at Common Molly's, but we hope to move, and we will be going to different bars, and that's why people have to follow us on Instagram to kind of know where we might be going next, what we're doing, because we might not do it every week. But as more big events coming, like the She Believes Cup, there is skiing coming up in February. So we're really trying to tap into also other sports that people might not be watching, and giving them that opportunity. And Common Molly's is, helping us try to bring some of those opportunities to people in Brooklyn. And it's easy to get to.
Yeah, it's very easy to get to, especially since you're talking about places that's like literally train distance or taxi distance from the Barclays Center where the Liberty we play.
Exactly, exactly. And why not be somewhere close to where they are? And it just gets you excited to be like, when's May coming? Because I can't wait. And that's like sort of the thing with Unrivaled. Like you're getting to see people and getting to like root for people that you don't normally like. I'm rooting for Caleb McBuckets, which as a Liberty fan, how could I ever really root for Caleb McBuckets? But like Caleb McBride is such a sick player. So it's like been so fun to like root for other players that I don't normally get to root for. Cause I mean, I already have a team. I've already picked sides in Unrivaled. I'm sticking with the Laces. They are my team. So it's been fun to be able to like root for someone else. It's weird to not, be rooting for Stewie, but she is my girl. I love her. But the Laces have my heart right now.
Yeah, the Laces, they really laced it up big time.
Woo! They are not fooling around. They came to cook every game. They are out there and they are just putting them back. It is just so cool. And AT last night with that one-arm win, Kate Martin with that buzzer beater like at the end. It's just been so fun to watch. Just to watch them play and watch them like all gel together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, speaking of Laces, they really gave Phantom the beatdown 86-48, and then of course they steamrolled Miss.
Yeah.
So you made the right choice picking that. You picking that roster. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, they are.
That you talking about a team that have like freaking Caleb McBride, Jackie Young, and of course Katie Martin, Stephanie Dolson, and Alyssa Thomas, women that actually at minimum played in the WNBA finals. Some of them won, but then again, there's a lot of players in this league that won. And it's hard for me to pick a team since you got at least one Liberty player playing for two different teams.
I mean, I root for the Miss and the Phantom when I'm not rooting for the Laces because of Sabs and Stewie and the General, but the Laces do have my heart. And like it's fun rooting for Kate Martin because I loved watching her play on Iowa because I always thought she was such a great player. And I got to see her at the Albany Regionals last year at March Madness. So it's cool to be able to like root for a team like because it was fun watching her do really well with the Aces this year. So it's fun to be able to root for her as someone on a team that you like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And looking back to Unrivaled, I mean, come on now. Like you have a 7-minute quarter and 4 quarters, which is really equivalent to a 5-on-5 basketball league that we watched today in the NBA, or the WNBA that we won't get to see until from May to October. Are you kidding me?
It's so fast paced.
We saw Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier putting together this basketball league as a co-founder. You didn't think nothing of it. But when you have 36 different WNBA players getting the opportunity to play here in America compared to going overseas, that's something you can't dismiss. It's with Ice Cube, but done better.
Yeah, and knowing that they are the highest paid female athletes, with like the fact that they're getting equity plus their salary, it's equivalent to like over $200,000 that they're being paid for 8 weeks of work, and I think it's really going to put pressure on the W with the CBA agreement coming up because Stewie and Nafisa Collier set up how female athletes should be treated with all of the treatment rooms that they have and like the way that they're being put up in apartments. It's showing the level of respect that female athletes should be getting. And I'm excited because I think the W it's going to help the W make these kind of concessions because I think it's there. I think always the excuse was the money wasn't there, the eyes weren't there, but I think the eyes are there. And I think this past year showed that there's eyes on women's sports and it's not, just because of one player or two players. I think it really has been years of pressure of just women being great. And finally, it's being recognized in a way that should have been happening for a really long time, but we all know the reasons why. And so now to kind of see Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier just kind of like saying, no, like this is what we deserve. This is what female athletes are going to get. And then this is now the standard, I think is really exciting time to be watching and being a fan of women's sports.
Exactly. And it's time to start being a fan of Kate Martin, who didn't really get as much minutes when she had her first season with the Aces, who were coming off 2 straight WNBA championships at the time. But now, but obviously, with her joining the new team with the Golden State Valkyrie, this is the type of moments you need in order to actually make the top 5.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
You have to. I mean, Yeah, but and I don't care how much teams join the WNBA, you got to fight for your spot, and
Oh,
my spot is the
absolutely.
best spot to do it.
Absolutely. And I think like as hard it is knowing that Kayla Thornton's going to the Valkyries, like it I think it's gonna be exciting to see a player like Kate and a player like KT playing together. So I think it's gonna be an interesting season, especially with all the free agencies now that got released today with the W, which I haven't gone all in and done all my research and looking at possibilities of where people are going. I hope AT stays in Connecticut.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what they were. Yeah, that's what they were talking about at WNBA free agency. You see,
yeah.
there's, I mean, an article from the Athletic mentioned that Connecticut might run it back with the same players, with
Hmm.
the same type, and why not? They know
Yeah,
that's keeping Connecticut so relevant after Jonquil Jones left.
yeah, absolutely. And I think watching Dewana Bonner and AT play together and with Dejanay Carrington, I think it is smart to keep them all together because I think that's a really good roster. And I think maybe with some fresh eyes, it could be really different. I mean, because the Stephanie White is a great coach. And I just think maybe sometimes there needs to be a new eyes, a new way of thinking because Connecticut keeps getting there and they're almost there and and then it just never happens. So, but I mean, I would like to see the Liberty repeat again. I
Yeah,
mean,
you know what? This is a good transition to talking about the championship run that we witnessed for the New York Liberty. 28 years in the making, they win a championship. And yeah, I mean, well, I don't know after you follow basketball when it started in 1997,
I
but
did not.
with the Liberty, they were 0-5 going to that finals win. Now they're 1 and
Hmm.
5.
Yeah,
The
it's
BYU had one of the craziest shots you'll ever see by New York Liberty, which is almost the equivalent, literally half the feet, half of the amount of feet that Teresa Witherspoon shot was.
hmm
And of course, there's a game 5 where Liberty struggled to shoot in 3-point land, but at the very least, the assistant is doing enough to win when you have
yeah.
good defense.
Yeah, and again, like that's that old adage, like, defense wins championships. Like there's a reason for it because at the end of the day, you're the best of the best being pitted up against each other and it's going to be where the chips fall. And unfortunately for the Lynx, it didn't fall their way. And I just didn't love at the end because I felt like it dirtied the attempt to kind of dirty the win in a way, kind of
Yeah, the Atlanta,
made me have a chip on my shoulder. So I hope it gives
The so-called Atlanta Smith foul that wasn't supposed to be a foul.
exactly. And so like I think going into this season, like there's got to be a little bit of a chip, and I hope that that chip is to show that like okay, if you think that we didn't really win it, well, guess we'll have to win it again. But being in that stadium when they won was, or in the arena when they won was one of the craziest moments ever. I watched it through my fingers, like squatting down because I was so anxious. And like, I mean, the entire arena was silent during half of like during these like pivotal moments. And then all of a sudden, see them win, the confetti flies, like New York is playing. There's no better feeling than singing New York in the middle of Barclays Center with like thousands of people
Yeah,
celebrating that
there's
win.
no better way,
Oh,
and there's no better feeling than winning Club Barclays. Greatest,
woo!
not me.
I mean, it was epic. It was just so cool. Going to the parade was awesome. I brought my niece and my sister. 'Cause my niece has become a huge Liberty fan. And so like it's just been so amazing to see them become such, I think, such a integral part of like New York culture and Brooklyn culture. And like so I'm excited to see what more they have for us and just like I can't wait to get back to Barclays in May. Like I cannot wait.
Yeah, I cannot wait either. You might see me at a couple of games too, Kimberly.
We're going to have to hang then. That's exactly what we're going to have to do because that is what this does. It brings people together that might not know each other. And that's what I love about basketball and the community that it creates because that's what it does. It creates community.
Yeah, exactly. Especially the LGBT individuals that are involved, whether it's an athlete or fan or worker. And
Exactly.
LGBT representation is important. It's
Absolutely.
important.
And I mean, and that's what's so cool. And to me, what brought me really in as a fan to the W was their activism during what happened to George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and them trying like and them, getting Raphael Warnock into the Senate. Like that also brought me in to being a fan because to me, like because of someone, I used to be a history teacher and things like that. So this is very important to me. So like being able to be a fan and knowing that not only are these athletes the best of the best, but they then push to make like our country the best of the best. And especially at a time where people maybe not thinking that our diversity is our strength. And so that's also what I love about being a fan of women's sports, that you're getting to be around people that do support women and women's sports and the value of it. And so I think it kind of creates this nice, bubble a little around you of in those moments being able to kind of tap into what that creates with, other basketball fans.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, geez, you mentioned you started becoming a fan. I mean, I've been watching WNBA ever since the 10-year anniversary when we played their final season with the Liberty that time before we traded to Silver Stars. Around that time, I was watching it. And then of course it was a part of the ongoing struggles of Liberty winning championship. And I was there, unfortunately, when they lost game 4 against Las Vegas Aces that year.
Oh yeah, I was there too.
To get a second ring, and it was nice to actually get to interview the players for this particular platform. I mean, and it's a long history short. I've interviewed a lot of people that cover the WNBA thoroughly, and that's how I got interested in covering the WNBA.
That's so cool. Yeah, and I mean, I think it's just such a
If you watch my entire interviews, I mean, it's a long history, but I've interviewed a lot of people that cover the WNBA extensively. So yeah,
I love it. It's just such a fun and exciting way to spend your time. Like I walk to the stadium with my wife, we walk home. Like I'm glad that we have a season again when it's warm, because I would not want to walk right now outside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But
it's great to see Liberty finally win it in a year where both the Mets and Yankees lost to the Dodgers in the postseason, where the Knicks are almost at the tier of the new Liberty, but not really when they can't get past the second round. Well, the Brooklyn Nets are rebuilding. Both football teams in New York are bad. The Giants have somewhat hope when they only managed to get the number 3 pick. They would have been a top 2 in the NFL draft if they wasn't for that win against the Indianapolis Colts. Never thought I'd be saying that, but it's a whole different story. But
so that's why you got to root for the Liberty and Gotham, the teams that win championships.
The Gotham FC. Don't think I don't know about that championship win in 2023. The year the Liberty couldn't get the job done. So so that was a good run. I mean, I got to ask this question: which one do you enjoy? The Gotham FC championship run in 2023 or the Liberty WNBA championship victory?
Liberty all day, every day. I bleed seafoam in this house. That all day. Like, I mean, yes, there are similar colors, but I am a Liberty fan through and through. I already told my wife if we ever left, I would have to go to a city that has a WNBA team, but I would never wear their jersey. I would wear a Liberty jersey wherever I go if I ever left this city, because I will never root for another basketball team but the Liberty. They are my favorite, hands down.
Yeah, women's basketball. Exactly. You can't. You just can't.
You can't.
All right. Now, obviously, and as you get invested, getting started, what are some of your favorite memories of women's college basketball in recent years?
I think going to the Albany regionals, being able to see so many different schools that you didn't normally getting access to, but really getting to watch Iowa and South Carolina. South Carolina is my favorite team. So being able to watch the regionals and then finally see them in, the championships when we see South Carolina winning, it was pretty awesome. Yes, I wanted Caitlin to win that championship, but man, that was beautiful seeing Dawn and those girls win that championship. They deserved it. They had an undefeated season. It was sick. It's just that is some of my is watching that, because you're also watching, some of those kids are not going on to play in the W. So to watch these young women excelling so much in their sport, and just being able to watch all of these different schools and all of these different players is just awesome. And that's why I just loved being able to go to the regionals.
Yeah, I know that was a good experience for you, especially being able to watch the renewed rivalry. Even though you couldn't get the national championship to end Caitlin Clark's career, at the very least you redeemed yourself for the loss in the national championship the year before against LSU.
Exactly.
Started the Caitlin Clark Angel Reese rivalry that's descended upon the WNBA.
Oh God, I hate that. It's so annoying. Like it makes me so annoyed. This like weird thing that people did on the internet between the two of them that like isn't a thing. And it just like, and to me, I think it's just perpetuating more racism and more of just this like it just shows you the like misogyny and the gross racism that are out there. And then these people aren't actually really WNBA fans. They're not fans of Caitlyn. Like they're just fans of like, I don't even know what. But like, I just hope going into the new season, like that narrative has been shut, closed, and we can move on because it's such a tired trope. Like, and it like that's what we're gonna do is continue to fight like between these people. And then you're having people getting into like Instagram, like fights with other people using a horrible language. It's just like so not what the W is. And so like it's not like, and anybody that had been watching it, like it was just so confusing to watch. And you're just like, this is like blatant racism. Like whatever is going on, like that's the only thing that it is. And it's gross and it's weird and it needs to stop because like this is not the W. It's comprised of over 70% of women of color. Like
you talking about
what are we doing?
Color and to add on to it, it was mentioned in social media posts that it's literally 50% LGBT individuals playing the WNBA.
Exactly. And we know why people didn't watch it. Like Sue Bird and so many people have talked extensively on why there wasn't coverage or what was going on. And again, like I think
Aria Chalmers from ESPN, who I've interviewed, like who's along with Christina Williams, who's like really my first person guest. She talked about how when she was working at the Garden, there wasn't that many coverage outside the TV broadcast cover the WNBA, and in particular. So she interviewed some friends that were playing it at the time.
Yeah. And I mean,
look what we're seeing right now.
Exactly. And I think that's what it's going to be. It's just going to be people that have been doing the work for years, cutting through the noise and giving like good interviews and good information. And I think like the rest of that other stuff will hopefully kind of stop, or people just don't pay attention to it and don't give it any air. Like, because like, it's funny, like if people bring that up, I'm like, oh, I don't talk about that because then it doesn't mean you know anything about women's basketball. You just want to talk about that. Like I would rather talk about actual women's basketball and the W and things like that. So I'm hoping that people, as they come in, like I did, like not knowing a lot, just being able to say like, oh, I don't know a lot. So like, I know what I don't know, which is a lot. So why don't I just like sit and listen and learn about the game and about sort of this world, and then you can understand it better. And it's sort of, that's what I did. And that's what and again, I still sometimes have no idea what's going on. I have to be like, wait, why? Why is that a foul? Explain this to me. And that's what I love about women's sports, because I feel like there's more openness to explain the sport and explain what's going on in a setting about women's sports than it is when it's a male dominated sport, because then I feel like people like in these like don't want to teach you about, they're like, oh, you don't know about football, oh, you're so dumb. Like no, like if you want people to learn, then teach people. And so that's what I've loved about watching women's sports.
I mean, shoot. I mean, I was told one time at the Big Three that I don't know nothing. I don't even know who's the coach of UConn or something like that. Yeah, in a podcast recording I did, I was like, that was not me. It's usually not me, because I've known about UConn ever since they were racking up championships during the Brian Stewart days, and of course the wins they had during the Maya Moore days. They were almost undefeated and winning national championships when Brian Stewart was there.
Yeah.
You had to.
But you had to like be living on the East Coast. Like I knew nothing about basketball, but I knew my aunt had season tickets to UConn women's basketball. And it was like the Breonna Stewart, like all like Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi heyday. Like you knew UConn, like everyone knows that. That's crazy that someone would say that to you in the middle of an interview. That's wild.
Man, I watched UConn rail on Louisville at the Women's Champions Classic last December. So, yeah, after Tennessee barely defeated Iowa.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what's like so fun is like learning all of these like college rivalries and like learning like, well, who are the good teams and like who have the good programs, and like it's so fun learning all of these things that I had no idea about, like 5-6 years ago before I met my wife. And now I'm just like like going on just women's sports, seeing what college games are on, watching games that I normally probably wouldn't watch. Like I watched Ole Miss and Florida the other day, and it was such a fun game to watch. So it's like it's so fun becoming also like a new fan. Like I still feel like I'm a new fan, like learning all of these things. And so that's why it's so fun, like listening to podcasts like this. So you like learn all about these different sports and like, I don't know, just get excited about their potential and just like learning new things. It's fun.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm glad that women's college basketball is giving these kids a try. And like I mentioned before, I mean, I had my experience of covering women's champions classic with this platform. You saw the first commissioner for the W and the current commissioner over there, and then you saw some representation from the 4 college teams that are playing. And of course, Paige Beckers didn't get to do as much, but Sarah Strong showed out.
Oh my God, Sarah Strong is.
I mean, seeing all these fans fill up seats, you thinking, I'm like, what is this, WNBA finals or the women's Final Four?
Yeah, it like Sarah Strong is one of my favorite players. I forget her mom played in the W, and I can't remember her mom's name right now. It's escaping my brain. It's gonna annoy me. But it just like she's just so good. Like I'm so excited to watch her for the next 4 years. Like, because I mean, obviously it's gonna be sad. Paige is coming. Well, not sad. She's coming to the W, but or hopefully. But just to watch Sarah Strong play her game, it is fun. She is a fun player to watch.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and not to be ashamed of when she couldn't make the free throws against USC. I mean,
it happens.
I mean, you had one of the rarest moments to shine, but you could have other moments to shine in college basketball. Coached by Gina Oriyama, who literally made UConn one of the most dominant teams in the Big East. And I asked the players some questions like, and they all get different perspectives of how the Big East is going to be more than just a UConn league. Seriously.
I think so. Like, I think it's exciting to see, like, again, someone who's just coming in, like watching it. Like, obviously, I grew up in New York, so I always knew UConn as being this like basketball powerhouse. So like, it's just fun seeing all of the changes into and learning how new teams are coming into the Big Ten. How is that changing? So it's been fun to like learn about how these different changes and competition are happening within college sports, and the fact that now everybody's getting their NIL money as they should.
Yeah, exactly. But if you want other fun moments to watch women's college basketball, how about the 2 buzzer beaters by Ricky Kubawawe to win a national championship in 2018? You can't dismiss that.
No, never. And that's what's so, again, like so fun about watching women's sports. And like, again, for me, going back and like learning all of these amazing like times in sports, just like, again, just recognizing that the women's sports and the dominance to which they play has always been there, it's something that I think is very cool as someone who's like learning more and more about this and like going almost like back in time and learning more about like where this W player, when did they play? Where did they play? And then like, it's allowing me to kind of go back. It's like, I'm doing like a backwards learning of like college sports, like in real time while watching it. It's fun.
Yeah, it's so much fun indeed. Obviously it will continue to grow, especially since obviously, recently you had like the double header all the way down at Potential Center called the Kings Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, both games are one-sided, but it's nothing new because UCLA, they're literally surpassed South Carolina at least the first half of the season as the team in college basketball. Lauren Betts, are you kidding me?
I know.
16-year-old Maryland.
It's going to be an exciting March. Like I'm excited because we're going to be doing watch parties for March Madness. We are.
It's no joke because you got to hold on.
We'll be doing them.
Absolutely. Because you compete with the men's side.
Yeah. We are going to be definitely having March Madness for women's watch parties. That is happening in the books in March. That is mostly like what we're going to be focusing on in March. We're going to do parties for the WNBA draft. So really, again, just continuing to try to build out a community for people that are interested in women's sports, that want to learn about all of these different college sports and all of these college athletes. It's just another way and another avenue to get people in and get people to have their eyes on these women's games, to continue kind of supporting and uplifting these female athletes and giving them the attention and the eyes and the streams and the, actual TV time, so that, broadcasting actually gives them that space and time that they need to grow and get eyes on that game.
Exactly. And it's going to continue to grow because, especially now that I believe in about a year, you're going to have the new WB, NBC, and Amazon Prime deals.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to impact the engagement of women in sports.
Yeah, and again, it's like when people are like, nobody watches women's sports, it's not making money. Well, when you're not giving them the opportunity to be able to make that money and you're not investing, then how do you expect people to watch women's sports and be able to get it on?
You got people that say lower the rim so women can do a dunk. Disrespects.
But also, I'm not, and I always like to clear, I'm not a very good sports girly, but doesn't dunking hurt your hands? It looks like it hurts. Like, that is what I have been told, that it, like, dunking hurts, and that's why a lot of people don't dunk, because it actually hurts your hands. So why would you do something that hurts you and could damage your hand? Number one. Number two, nobody needs to do that. Like, nobody needs to do that. Are you watching the 3-on-3 basketball? Like, watch Unrivaled, and then I want you to say those same things you just said. You wouldn't, because you're watching like just these incredible women playing an actual game of basketball, unlike when my friends and I like to call it the MNBA, the Male National Basketball Association, the men's team. That, like, I feel like when I watch the NBA, yes, it's exciting, but sometimes it's boring because you're just watching people run from one side to the other, shoot a three. Like, I feel like when you're watching women's basketball, you're actually watching the game of basketball. Like, the thinking, the math, the spatial awareness of it all, the actual plays that it takes to move the ball. Like, that's what makes it exciting. That's why I love Unrivaled, because now you get to see it with more space.
Exactly. Everything going on in one court. Hopefully they start traveling around when they do the Unrivaled League, because, man, that would be incredible.
Yeah, I'm going down in February. I'm very excited to go down and see it. I'm super excited. We got tickets right when they released. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, hopefully you found some affordable ones, because I heard the tickets got pricey.
They did, but we jumped on them right when they sort of were released, really right away. And kudos to my wife again for doing that. But like, yeah, we didn't even get hotels, flights, anything. We just bought tickets. The minute they dropped, we just bought them. And then like they literally jumped in price within like 48 hours. And I'm like, sick, we're going. But yeah, I'm excited. I've never been to Miami. So I'm excited to just go to Miami, and then it looks like the fan area right outside the arena is super cool. And there's things for people to do and places to buy gear, and take content. So I think it's like going to be so exciting to go down there and just kind of see what I'm doing at a watch party, and then actually be there and see this amazing studio/arena that they created.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, you have to be Unrivaled. Just saying.
Period. The future is unrivaled.
And let's just call it the way it is. Women's basketball surpassed men's basketball for the pros and collegiate by a mile. Let's just call it the way it is.
It is. And I'm excited for it. And I'm excited to see how much bigger it's going to get. So it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. And now for this episode, nothing but that sports. So I think we'll stop by Kimberly C.P. I really appreciate it. Sorry, I had to say that because, yeah.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And people can follow me at Game On Watch Party, so they can know when our next watch party is going to be.
Yeah. And looking forward to see what you do.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And to everybody out there, for Kimberly C., Rafika Lewis on. We'll see you next time.